Hi, I'm Kathryn Costa from TrueNorthArts.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm really excited about this video because it marks the beginning of a new cycle. It's 2021, a brand new year, and I have the intention to create a series of videos throughout this year where I share with you how I work with lunar cycles. You see, every month at the new moon and the full moon, I create mandala art. At the new moon, I create what I call manifesting mandalas. This is where I use my stencils from StencilGirl Products to quickly draw up a mandala. And while I'm working on it and adding color and pattern, I am bringing my attention and awareness towards something, an area of my life that I'd like to see a change in. Then I take the finished piece of art and I put it on a sacred shelf. It's another way of calling an altar. And I add crystals and other items to that. And it becomes a crystal grid. So I'm going to share with you how we can take our mandala art, transform it into a powerful manifesting object, sacred object, and help us with having clarity around what it is we want and set that out. That's at the new moon. At the full moon, the energy is very different. You probably have noticed at full moons we start to feel more tension, right? Well, this is a great opportunity for us to check in and see what we're ready to release, right? How can we release some of that tension? It might be something emotional. It might be something that's happening in our lives, some unhealthy behavior or habit, right? So a limiting idea or belief. So at the full moon, we create what I call healing mandalas. These are mandalas that, again, using those stencils from StencilGirl Products, quickly drawing them up and infusing our intentions there. But this time they're healing intentions, a way that we can release the old and practice that art of letting go with grace. So throughout, from month to month, I'm going to be sharing my practice. We're not only going to be looking at the new moon and the full moon in those practices, but also bringing in what is happening in the sky along with the moon, the phase of the moon. So each month we have two different signs that we'll work with, and there's a relationship between the two of them. So those are called polarities, and I will guide you along the way. So all you need to do is show up, bring some of your art supplies, bring your stencils from StencilGirl Products, and we'll have fun learning a little bit about astrology as well as and these archetypes and how they can help us with navigating our life. I think it's absolutely brilliant that we are starting the series with the new moon in Capricorn. And let me tell you why. Capricorn is a cardinal sign. All cardinal signs are initiators. They're known for getting things started. And Capricorn energy is going to help us with making a commitment to that which we want to manifest in 2021. So you may have started the new year off thinking about what you want to happen in this year. What do you want? What area in your life do you want to change? You may have set a New Year's resolution, or maybe you've set an intention or two. And even now, a week or so into the new year, you may be distracted and kind of like, I don't know. And there may even be some competing things happening, and you may be feeling less motivated. You might have some self-sabotage popping up or some resistance. You might have family members that need your time and energy, and you're like, okay, well, how am I going to take care of myself? You know, all that is so normal. And that's why we have this practice to help us come back. And this mandala is all about declaring what you really want. Even if that inner narrator is coming up and saying, making all these excuses of why that's not a good idea or why you can't do it, I'm inviting you to declare for yourself what it is you really want. What is the thing that you feel in your heart? And that's what this mandala is going to be dedicated to, saying yes to you. Now, another thing that I think is brilliant about working with Capricorn energy is Capricorn, think of it, it's the mountain goat. And the mountain goat has a goal at the top to get to the top of the mountain. And it is so resourceful and steadfast in reaching its goal. And it is tough and it is focused. That same type of focus and perseverance is what we want to tap into at this time as we're getting started. As an earth element, I'm going to tie in here the root chakra. The root chakra is a perfect grounding energy to help us to get centered in on what it is that we want and need, getting those basic needs built and building a foundation for which. And this mandala energetically is going to help us do that. So these are the stencils that I'm working with today at StencilGirl Products. The outline is the 4 Gates Mandala stencil. Then we're going to use the root chakra stencil for the center. There is the glyphs or the symbols. So there's Capricorn, and that comes from the zodiac chart stencil. And then the ruling planet for Capricorn is Saturn. So we're going to talk a little bit about Saturn and work with that. So that symbol is found on what is called the celestial body stencil. So in this demo, we start with the 4 Gates Mandala stencil. And here you can see that there are many different pathways that you can choose. And I'm going to take the second one. The first one and the second one will work well with the chakra stencils, so those fit in nicely. And as you see, I am putting my fingers up next to it to hold it down. I don't even tape down the stencil. Some people find that helpful using some masking tape. I just hold it down and I work my way around to create that outer border for my design. And as I was working on this, I was thinking about how like these are 3 lanes and I'm staying in my own lane. Sometimes it takes a little focus when you're first using the stencil to get, focused on it so you don't end up accidentally drawing another one. So there we go. You can see that this root chakra stencil fits in perfectly there. How cool is that? And then we begin by drawing the center design. This is the downward pointing triangle in the square. Now there is a circle, but instead of drawing that, I'm going to draw just the 4 petals. I want the petals to be larger, so I'm going to omit that inner circle. That's purely an option for you if you'd like to have that extra circle in there. And then I'm going to draw this circle, and you could even leave it at that if you want. You could end there, so that way you have other room, or you can add the outer row of petals. Now the outer row of petals are not part of the core design for the root chakra, but I added those to provide just a more detailed, beautiful pattern to complete the mandala. Then once you have that, then we pull out the symbol, it's also known as a glyph, for Capricorn. And I'm going to place those at the top, right there, the first gate. So there's Capricorn looking to escort us in and guide us into the root chakra energy center. You can see I line it up with that gap there in the lower gate. So no matter which entry point, Capricorn is going to be there as our greeter and our guide. How cool is that? So we do it on all 4 directions. Each of these directions represent an aspect of the self. And here I'm pulling up the Saturn glyph. And that Saturn is the ruling planet. So Saturn is anchoring us as well and is providing us with helpful energy. Sometimes we may feel some resistance with Saturn, and I'll talk about that in a moment. All right, so now we have all these gaps. And that's where we pull out the ruler to close those gaps. So you can see here an example of how, I do that with the outer edge. Let's just jump into the middle so you can see how to complete the design. So you'll see that with the lotus petals, bringing the bottom down to attach, and then the top to the circle. The top of the petal attaches to the circle. See, I'm finishing off the triangle so it doesn't have a gap there, as well as that square in the center. And then I fill the gaps in on the circle, because these are all intended to be closed shapes. And you can see how those outer ring of petals connect to the circle above it and the circle below it. The other thing I want to point out is how to complete the Capricorn glyph. For this mandala, I worked with watercolor paints. You are welcome to work with any medium that you want. That's what I love about this. You can use paints, you could use acrylics, you could use markers, colored pencils, or a combination. And since Capricorn is an earth element, and I'm picturing the goat on the mountain, I reached for browns and I wanted that real earthy feel to it. I did a wet on wet technique where I put some water down on the surface, then I filled it in with a lot of different shades of brown, and then sprinkled it with salt to create this really neat texture effect that reminds me of stone. Here's a closer look at the symbol for Saturn, and you can see with all the outlines I used a beautiful watercolor gold paint, and I outlined the shapes with a black marker. I will list in the description below all of the supplies that I used so you can explore those. And this is how my mandala looks with crystals added to it. It's now a crystal grid. And the way crystal grids work is that we select stones and gemstones and minerals and objects that hold a frequency that aligns with our intentions. So in this case, I was looking for stones that work well with the root chakra, stones that are very grounding, that help with clarity of mind, that help with lifting up any kind of negative energy that would get in the way of focusing in on the goal and moving forward. This beautiful disc that I placed at the center of my mandala is a leopard skin jasper. It provides protection, it absorbs negative energy, it helps to balance yin and yang, it sustains and supports one through tough times of stress, and it brings tranquility and wholeness. These sweet heart-shaped stones are tiger's eyed, and they help with bringing insight into complex situations. They help focus the mind. They're good for grounding and centering, dispelling fears, and promoting mental clarity. This beautiful stone is Snowflake Obsidian, and it helps us to balance our body, mind, and spirit. Now, it can draw emotions up, especially old karmic patterns may come up to the surface. But what it's great at doing is helping us to be more dispassionate, more like that sacred observer, so we feel centered with this stone. It helps us to recognize and release that quote-unquote wrong thinking. That's those stressful thought patterns that hold us back from moving forward in our goals. And this unique stone is an Apache tear, and it is perhaps the most gentle of all the protective stones out there. It is one that will offer comfort, especially if you have any issues that show up related to this intention of yours, and if you've had a history of not being successful with it and you're feeling really hard on yourself, this stone, hold on to this stone, put it in your pocket or set it on your sacred shelf along with your beautiful mandala, and it will help you to feel comforted. So I have a deck of these little mini cards. They're called angel cards, and each one has a word on it. And I selected 5 of them to complement this design, and I asked the angels what words would help us with our new moon Capricorn intentions. The first one was commitment, and I couldn't believe I pulled this because it's so Capricorn. The second one is freedom. Each zodiac sign has a ruling planet, and the ruling planet has characteristics and qualities and energies that support and align with the zodiac sign. So, for example, Capricorn, the ruling planet is Saturn. Now, Saturn is not a planet we typically associate freedom with, unless you really understand the lessons that Saturn has to teach. Often we think of Saturn as being restrictive. It's about discipline. And that's why it goes so well with the hardworking, goal-oriented Capricorn. Well, as a Virgo, which is another earth sign, I have learned it's my nature to organize things and to look at how can we dial in routines that will help us with reaching our goals. So there is a freedom that you can have by setting up structures and systems and routines that help you day in and day out, step by step, to reach your goals. So it's absolutely perfect that we could draw this card freedom and learn how we can find and achieve freedom. So take, for example, if you've got a financial goal, well, the discipline that comes with the way you handle your spending on a day in and day out basis, that is going to either work towards your goal or it's going to hold you back. So that discipline is what will lead to the freedom of being able to have the finances and reach your goals and do the things that you want to be able to do. The word that comes from discipline is disciple and discipleship. And I view discipleship as making a commitment, there's that first word, a commitment to something that is important to you. So where do you want to put your time, your energy, and what routines and structures do you want to set up that's going to support your dream? The second two angel cards that I picked were education and respect. So as you set an intention and there are things that you may need to learn, know that you are supported, that you are resourceful, that there are many ways that you can get the information that you need to help you with fulfilling the next steps and reaching your goal. The fourth card, respect, this comes back to that energy of Saturn. Saturn favors those who show respect for what they've been given, when there is that stewardship of resources. And the fifth card that I thought was perfect is enthusiasm. So the reality is when we set an intention for a change in our life, there is going to be some mountain climbing and some hard work may be involved, some planning. There may be things that make us stretch out of our comfort zone. If we can stay rooted in our enthusiasm, in that which, holding that vision of what it is you're going for, that's going to motivate you. That's going to move you through. That's going to keep you inspired to stay the course. I love the process of working with divination tools, and those angel cards are so sweet. Those watchwords, you are welcome to take one or all of them with you into this next month and see how they can serve you as you focus your attention on your intentions. The second divination tool that I pulled out for us is this tarot deck that is the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Krans. And I love this deck. I like the size of the cards. They were so easy to shuffle right out of the deck. And when I'm working with tarot or any oracle, I really trust that I'm going to get the message that I need. And I think even just having that expectation, I am blown away by how aligned the messages are when we get them. So my intention with this was, what message would help us, the new moon in Capricorn, right? So as I shuffled, I got the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands means you have a decision to make. Are you going to stick with what you know, or are you going to step into something new, try something new? So compare this card with the traditional Rider-Waite where you see all the symbols. You can see that the staff on the right is affixed to the tower that this person is standing at. And that is staying right where you are. You're not going to change anything. But looking out on the horizon, holding the world, that represents the world is your oyster. You have all these possibilities for you. And looking out on this landscape, you see these mountains, which reminds me of Capricorn scaling the mountains. Well, when you set an intention and you're going to go for it, often there are these mountains and challenges that are before you. It's exciting, it's new, but it also comes with it new horizons and new ways of doing and being and things to learn and so forth. So it's really perfect that we got this Two of Wands. And this is a Two of Wands card that I painted. You see those two wands, one pointing forward, the other one kind of stuck in place. We've got the mountains, and at the center we have a compass with the world at the center. You may also be inspired by my painted rock that has the words, I am brave. This is a real touchstone that I pull out and hold in my hands at those moments where I'm feeling vulnerable, especially when I've made a decision that wasn't easy. And inside my vision journal, I created a pocket. So I have a place for putting this manifesting mandala. I did not want to take this mandala and glue it in or tape it into my journal. I wanted to be in a pocket so I could take it out and use it and put it on my sacred shelf whenever I wanted to work with this energy. I'd also, in that pocket, I've placed the Two of Wands that I had painted, as well as a piece of paper that has my intentions listed out in them. I'm pulling the items out of the pocket. You can see that I've done some journal writing. I wrote some notes down that I wanted to remember on that page. I wrote those angel words. I wrote down what Capricorn says. It's time to make a plan. What routines will support my dreams. Saturn's wisdom, that discipline leads to freedom. Discipleship is dedication to something that I value, as well as some affirmations. My hope is that you have found some inspiration on how you can work with the new moon in Capricorn. I would love to see your creativity and how you're expressing it and celebrating it at this new moon. I have a private Facebook group that you are welcome to join me at. It's called The Oasis, and there is a link below this video, as well as links to all the different things that I showed you. Links to the art supplies that I used, the stencils that you can order, the different oracle cards and divination tools that I've worked with in this video. So definitely check the description out for more information on anything that you're curious about. Thank you again for joining me. My name is Kathryn Costa from True North Arts, your instigator of soulful and creative living.